Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. And of course, it is time for the final word. We always do these videos the evening after the night before. Leeds United were thumped 4-1 by top of the table Arsenal. We're going to cover that. We're going to look ahead to Nottingham Forest as well. Obviously, that's in just 2 days' time now. So quick turnaround for Leeds United and a massive game that one is. And then we're going to have a little touch on managers because obviously Graham Potter and Brendan Rodgers were relieved of their duties today. So, is there a potential that Leeds United could be in for both, either one, none, or do we just keep faith with Gracia? So I just wanted to have a chat and just canvass opinion. But let's start with Arsenal, Joe, and I'll come to you, my man. I've just said off air, it's probably the most relaxed or non-plus have been about a 4-1 thumping I can ever think of, really. I think Arsenal are just a different level, and that game was never going to define our season. What are your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, same, mate. I'm a little bit annoyed with some of the goals we conceded because I think there's shades of our defending of the past starting to sink back in a little bit, which concerns me. But Arsenal are an incredible side. They're an unbelievably patient team. They've got goals from every single position on the park. They can score long-range shots. They can get in around the back of you. They can get crosses in. And they've got not just strength in depth, but quality in depth as well. So if you're missing a player, somebody else steps in and they're pretty much the same as. I talked to a couple of people yesterday about this and was like, the formation was mental going into the game. I saw the team sheet and went, I have no idea what we're doing here. But at the same time, then it was working for half an hour and then Bill does something silly. And then for me, every single goal we conceded was a mistake by somebody, which means that those goals are preventable. We could have actually nicked something from that game because I thought we had great chances. Cree should have scored in the first half. He should have scored. He won-on-one with the goalkeeper. He should put his foot through that ball and score. It's a different game. But, for me, it was a game that nobody expected us to win, but a game that was filled with individual errors from us. And I hope that it's just not a case that Max Ferber's come out for one game and all of a sudden we've forgotten him to defend again, and that seeps into Forest, and that's my hope that doesn't happen.
Luke, thoughts on what Joe's just said and the Arsenal game? You make a good point there about the defensive errors. I know Aylins took quite a lot of flack.
Yeah, I think he was probably responsible for the majority of those errors in the game. We almost looked like we're setting up in a completely different way as well, with Christensen looked to be starting in midfield and then dropping into a back five. It was quite chaotic as far as a Gracia side, I would say. That from what we've seen from him recently, we've seen a little bit more patience, a little bit more organisation. I was happy with it. I'll be honest with you. I thought the first probably 30, even first half, before the penalty, we were the better side. I mean, they were dominating the play, but we were the better side. We had better chances. We had 4 or 5 shots on target in the first half to their 1. There's been the penalty. And, I went into half time with quite a bit of expectation for the second half, a bit of hope. And then, I mean, I don't like to point the finger, but Jack Harrison went back to his usual self and left Ben White to stroll in at the back post. It was a comedy of errors. It was started with Ayling. I mean, there was, and that just shaped. If they hadn't scored, then I think we might have put up a bit more of a fight in that second half. But it was just the worst time to concede. And we got us just deserved in the end. They are a great side. They're not a great side, but they're a good side, I would say. And it'll be hard push to beat them for the title this year, I think.
Yeah. I think the last time they were beat at the Emirates was April last year, and that was City. So that tells you just how good they've been at home. Kate, I put a tweet out yesterday saying no overreaction from me, and you responded saying wasn't the same for you. What were your thoughts?
I did overreact because, to be honest with you, I totally get what Joe was saying, because all of those goals were avoidable. And, the way we were playing for the first sort of 35 minutes, we were compact, we were tight. And I think we gave them problems. But then after that stupid penalty, and then, of course, was it a penalty? Wasn't it? Everyone's saying, yeah, it was. Pardon?
I said probably if it goes the other way, if it's us that happens, I think we're screaming for a penalty.
Yeah. Yes. I don't think we would have been given it. I don't think we would have been given it if it was the other end, Jess, to be honest. And it was soft, wasn't it? It was soft. But at the same time, Ayling shouldn't have been on his arse when he tried to tackle in the, where in that position. So, yeah, and it just all collapsed and went downhill from there. And I was really pissed off because I didn't think we should have let him 4 goals. To be honest, we could have got a draw out of that. If they scored that first one in the first half, if we carried on in the second half like we did in the first, we could have got a draw out of it, I think.
Go on, Kate, man. High standards there. Came back.
Especially with Rasmus going in the second half. No, I know, but we didn't have to lose by 4. I didn't expect us to
blocks like an
going
absolute train in the game, though. Like I under we haven't seen us start like that. As soon as we tipped off, we just went straight at them, straight away. And I was like, this is interesting. I haven't seen this before.
Yeah. No respect was there at all.
None. And I loved, exactly. And I loved it. But the thing about even we just mentioned Jack Harrison, the back post with Ben White's goal. That was the one that annoyed me the most because it wasn't just Jack Harrison and it wasn't just Luke Ayling. It was Robin Koch and Pascal Stroke and Milan Melier who all made a mistake there because Ayling for some reason decides to go sideways to a tackle, which allows Martinez just to skip past him. Then he smashes it across the box and Koch is here and Stroke is like this. There's a tiny gap between them. They're behind you there. Koch does this. Stroke does that, and the ball goes straight through to it. And Melier doesn't come out off his line to try and catch the ball. It's inside the 6-yard area. And then Jack Harrison doesn't track Ben White at the back post. You're going, there's 4 times we could have stopped that ball going in the back of the net, and we didn't.
He looks at Ben White literally milliseconds before Ben White makes a move.
3 or 4 times, Luke. He does this. I was like, what's he doing?
And then stops looking when the cross comes in. Like, he's like, does everything else right. But look, for me, I don't like as you said at the start, Joe. There's not a lot of negative. We all expected to get beat by Arsenal. As a realist, the fact that we started so well was what's put us in this position where we actually feel a little bit hard done by, or maybe the performance wasn't up to standard. But Gracia set us up well. Believe it or not, you look at that team, and all of us were clueless. He said that Sinisterra was nowhere near fitness. He said Sinisterra starts. I love all that shit housing. I'm all for it. And Arsenal didn't have a clue. We kicked off, and Christensen, good save, but for a good save.
Midfield, he's playing midfield.
He weren't that bad either.
He did well, man. Yeah, I thought that as well. And people, some were quite scathing in the comments towards Gracia on my video. And I just felt like even with a fully fit squad, he still goes with the same tactical setup, just different personnel. Like, I agreed. I thought he did. I thought it was decent what he did. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely did. And yeah, I really like him. I do really like him, and it gives us a chance in every game that we play. I think I don't go.
He does.
Yeah. But I mean, like Luke said, I went to bookies and put 3-1 Saka first goal. To be honest, because I was convinced, I was convinced, bro. And then Saka didn't even start, and they beat us 4-1. But it was
my fantasy league captain, Joe.
Eh?
It was my fantasy league captain for this week. I was like, great, stick that on him. He's going to get a couple.
Mate, I had Rashford, and he's blanked today. So it is what it is.
Good.
Yeah, good.
That serves you right. To be fair, Joe.
Yeah, it does, mate. You're right. It does. So you touched on the penalty. Then there was a lot of people at the time. Someone actually said on my watch along, get this right. It was madness. He basically said I was refusing to blame Gabby Jesus because I was woke. Like, genuinely, this is what he said. He went, the reason you're not criticizing the pen is because it's too PC. And I was like, what? Like, honestly, is that because of his name, or because he's mixed race, or black, because or what? Because he's black. Because he's black, mate. The point was, and I was like, because I was saying it was a penalty. It was definitely a pen. Like, for me, anyway. Yes, it was soft, but Luke Ayling's stud was the same height as his knee. Of course,
he does this as well, though. That's the key for me was just two different. Well, firstly, Jesus could have gone down on the tackle from Christensen. Christensen catches his ankle. There's enough contact there for him to go down and get a penalty. That's the first one. So he's diving in your own penalty area. And what you want then from the rest of your defenders is a little bit of calm, stay on your feet. And then Ayling dives in as well. But not only does he dive in, He puts his foot up once, and then he does it a second time when he's already on the ground, and then he brings it down, and that's when he catches the top of his knee. Now, the way he falls isn't, you know, it's not conducive with that kind of a tackle, but he brings it towards the player, and that's the bit we're going, well, what are you trying to do there?
Isn't there some sort of thing? Isn't there some kind of rule as to whether it has to, as to how much it stops play? Is the touch, touch, you know, strong enough to kind of like, you know, stop him doing?
I mean, he dives. You're right. He makes a meal of it. He makes an absolute meal of it. If that action is on your knee, studs up like that on your knee, you do not go forward.
No, you go down.
You don't. You go backwards. He's gone forward. He's made a meal out of it. Look, it is a penalty because of the letter of the law. But if Jesus doesn't, if that's
your striker, Luke, do you want him to go down though?
Yeah,
absolutely. But ours wouldn't. Yeah. Bamford would. In fact, they probably would, both of them.
Bamford would have gone outside the box before anyone got near him.
Yeah,
and I think Aronson had just been near it and go down just because that's what he does.
Yeah, I don't know actually. Yeah, I think I don't know. Do I want to see that in a game? No. Do I want a penalty for my team? Yes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, man.
It's a penalty, it's a real tough one. Yeah. I know, but I don't like to see it. Because from that first angle I saw it, I was like, he's jumped over him there. It looked like a dive because of how he just made it look like it wasn't a natural movement from the shape of the challenge. Yeah. So yeah, I thought first look it was a dive. I still think it was very soft. It was a penalty by letter of the law. Do I want to see that in a game? Is that a free kick anywhere else on the pitch? Probably.
Yeah, there's a really good Jason O'Keefe in the chat there has made a really good point. Bill's reaction, says everything. He sat down. He just does this. Yeah, straight away. He didn't appeal it. He got up to everyone. I go on, and there was barely any appeal from the Leeds players. And Ayling's face, his reaction, everything about Ayling said pen. I agree with Luke. The first time I saw that, I was like, "It's not a pen. That's a dive." And then when you go to the other side of it, and you go, "Oh, for God's sake, why are you putting your leg over the air for? Just keep it down."
It was amateurish. It was very, very amateurish, and it was very, very Luke Ayling like. You know, he's got that in him. He's got that in him. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we were too hard. At the time, I probably did. I was a little bit angry after the being on top, and that was their first chance, really. So I was a little bit upset about it, but yeah, letter of the law, looking back in hindsight and all that, it's probably a penalty.
There's a couple of minutes leading up to that as well. Like I wrote down a couple of bits, and it was like 29 minutes. Leeds have a chance. Somerville should score. 30 minutes. Leeds have another chance. Harrison around the outside, unlucky. 31 minutes penalty.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
We were really starting to come in, weren't we?
It was Rasmus, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. Cracking shot.
That's
he had three shots in the game and scored.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what?
Right back. I can't play right back.
I'll take a throw in.
Do you know what really surprised me? And I just want to get your opinions on this. Cooper not starting. I think he's done, isn't he? Like for me, I think that's it now. He came on as sub late on, but you know, he played in the Scotland game against Spain, and I just thought he would be a certain starter, but he went with Strauch. So what? I think that's it for Coops. Do you reckon? No extension. He's not getting a year like Luke did, is he? I think
I'd like him stay around the place though, because he clearly is an influence off the pitch, and I think with such a young team that we have, and I said the same yesterday in my stream about Ayling. I don't want to see these guys leave the club. I think we need to move on with better players, but I don't want to see them leave the club. I want them to stick around a bit longer because this is a really young team, and they could do with a bit of experience around them to tell them, you know, well, this situation happened to me before. This is how you deal with it.
Yeah.
I think Cooper did an interview last week, and he said
they're not fit for next season. I don't think.
No, I don't think you can start with them. No, and
they're not right for progression.
I go right across the back forward that though. I think if we're being realistic, and if you look at where we are on the table, you know, it's been 2 managers now. It's got a little bit better, but it's still not great. You know, it's still, and you've got to start looking at the team and going, well, maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. Maybe they're not a mid-table side. Maybe they're actually a lower half Premier League team. And if we're going to move on as a club, and if we want to get better, then there's going to be serious money have to be spent on upgrading the players. It's not to say we should sell these players, because we do that very quickly. And I think I made that point before about Alioski.
Numbers, bro.
Alioski brought Firpo, and we're like, we still don't have 2 left backs. We want to go one. Why we no cover there? And then you saw what happened for 2 years. So you need to upgrade right across the entire back 4 needs upgrading. Yeah.
Can I just mention also?
I think Cooper did say himself last week that he didn't think So he said he thought that his days of starting every game were behind him, and he was planning on the next stage of his career, which was coaching. So I think he's kind of identified himself.
Ah, interesting.
What were you going to say, Kate?
No, I was just going to say about the fourth goal that that basically, Luke Ayling played Jacker on side and stood back and watched him head the ball in the net, and then blamed Rasmus.
Rasmus was marking him, and Rasmus didn't track him. Rasmus kind of got kind of back, and then went
Yeah.
But Rasmus was a central midfielder at that stage still.
But they're doing it was a 4-3-3 when we had the ball, and we didn't. It was Harrison dropped in between Firpo and
it was like a back six,
Christensen
wasn't
dropped
it?
in back six, and Christensen dropped in between Ayling and Robin Koch, and that was the mistake. He didn't drop back in at that time. That's the gap, and that's the whole thing. If you're playing against really good sides, you've got a game plan. You can't switch off from the game plan for a minute. The second you do, they'll hit you, and they did.
Yeah, I agree.
I've just got to tell you, Joe, I apologise for what I said about it saving you, right? Because I've just realised who I captained this week in Fantasy Premier League. I've just looked. I take it all back.
Was it Rashford?
Yeah.
Mate, it's a double game week, though, so he's still got a chance. I think they play Brentford.
This is improving, yeah.
Yeah, I think they play Brentford at home. So I've had a nightmare, mate, to be honest. I had, just off point, I had Havertz, Haaland both starting. Obviously, Haaland not in the squad. I had Rodrigo in my midfield. Came on at after. Just, not great. What do we make to no strikers starting then? What do you think the reasoning behind that was? Was it to save them both for Tuesday and Sunday, or was it just, what? I don't think we'll need. I don't know. False nine. I don't know what's the reasoning behind no strikers yesterday. Any thoughts?
I think you've pretty much nailed it. I think we had a game plan, and for that game plan, we didn't expect the ball to be in their final third very much. And when it did, it would be a flash chance, and then it'd be back in our half before we knew it. Hence the reason it looked like Aronson was playing in there. Works very, very hard back and forward. I think it was. In addition to that, I also think that's combined with, both not fully match fit. We've got some minutes towards the end as well, just to keep them ticking over. But we have got bigger games coming up. Saturday wasn't our battle. It'd been great to turn them over or nick a point down there. But I think Gracia's been very clever.
Yeah. Any add-on on that, or is he hit the nail there, Luke? I think
Javi had also said, hadn't he, that he wanted some speed in the team, and people like Bamford isn't necessarily the quickest, is he? So and saving him, of course.
Do you know what I was really excited by as well was the fact that Sinistera got 65 minutes as well, because you can see, man, when he gets the ball, he's so strong as well. Like, as is Somerville. I can't believe how strong Somerville is. There was one moment when he broke down the centre of the pitch and he held off Thomas Partey and managed to get away from him. And I'm thinking, that's impressive, man, for how small he is. The week before, he'd knocked off Traore off the ball. Yeah. So I think just having them playing, obviously Nonto's due to come back, etc. Probably not Tuesday, but maybe for Sunday. We've got so many options going forward, but getting 65 minutes out of Sinistera is huge, because I don't say a lot, but obviously, and Twitter's a small thing, but you see Leeds fans saying it's a poor signing and all that sort of stuff. It won't be. He will come good. He's a top player. And if he can stay fit between now and the end of the season, he'll get goals, I think, for me. Definitely. Let's talk about Tuesday night then and Sunday. Like, I'm convinced that we win that game, and I think we win it comfortably. Am I wrong to be so convinced? Just to put it into context, Nottingham Forest have 1 win and 3 draws away from home all season. They are bottom of the away league table. 1 win and 3 draws, just a total of 6 points.
If Leeds United.
Well, this is the thing. We must win that game, though, Luke, right? Like, looking at that, you have to win that game. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I've been having this chat in various groups and online and everything else. These are the games that you have to win. There's no excuses not to be winning these games. Promoted side, bottom of the form table link up when it comes to Tyler says their worst away form in Europe's top 4 leagues, he thinks. you cannot invite a team like that to Ellen Road and let them go away with anything.
Yeah,
they know they're poor on the road. You know, everything inside their heads, the mentality, the football. They know that they're poor on the road. The only thing that concerns me is if any club could fuck it up, it would be Leeds United. You know, if anybody could.
So true.
But
don't say
we'll
that.
see. I think Gracia will have a great plan. I think we'll see absolute polar opposite to what we saw on Saturday in terms of setup, style. Yeah. I think we even might see two up top.
I thought that as well. Rodrigo and Bamford. I thought that.
I mean, completely guessing, but he's obviously got a lot in his locker as Gracia. He's got lots and lots of different plans, and it's really exciting to see. Although it's not the most exciting football all the time. Yeah, we've got a lot, I feel, to look forward to, providing we can start picking points up where we need to pick them up. I think is probably the best way of putting it.
And that's the thing in it, Kit. Like, okay, we've been beaten twice in the league since he came in. Chelsea away, Arsenal away. You're not really expected to get anything. He's then drew with Brighton, which I think still now it's an amazing result for where we're at. And then we beat Southampton and Wolves. You know, so you're right to be confident going into this, right? Because the games that he's needed to get points in, he has.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I trust him as well. I trusted what he did on Saturday, to be honest. I don't think it was necessarily down to what he did that we didn't come away with anything. And I think there'll be a lot more confidence on Tuesday. I think you're right. We're going to see probably two up top. And I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I mean, plus the fact we can't lose. So, I mean, we have to win. But home ground, home fans, and like Luke said, you know, Harry's got a lot in his locker. He's not stupid. He does his research. He knows what he's going to be up against. So hopefully, we'll do it.
Yeah, and as well, just Steve Cooper in a bit of trouble. There was talk of if they'd have lost that game at the weekend, he could have been sacked. Obviously, they get a point, but if they were to be on the end of a beating at Leeds, then you know, Cooper may well get the sack. So, and I think, is it 12 managers now 13. That have been sacked? Is it 13? Wow, it's wild. Yeah, mad. So,
trigger happy, don't you think?
It just shows how. Do you know what though? I was talking to someone about this. This arguably could be one of the most exciting Premier League seasons ever because everywhere, bar 10 and 11, there's something to play for. I think Chelsea in 10th and Fulham in 11th, like, they're not really going up or down. I mean, Chelsea, now they've changed the manager, might shoot up again, but, like, everything is still up for grabs. And I know it's hard because we're in it, but I sort of like that there's 9 teams involved in the relegation battle. It's exciting, do you know what I mean? Like, what's West Ham, Southampton today, tomorrow it's Tottenham, Everton. It just makes every game a bit of a,
As long as it turns out right.
Every game, isn't there?
Yeah, cup final. Yeah. As long as we stay up for sure. We will, man. I'm not.
I'm confident.
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm genuinely really confident. Joe, you raising an eyebrow there. Are you confident of a win Tuesday?
Yeah. I think we need to get minimum 4 points from the next 2 games, but ideally 6. Ideally 6. I think if we drop any more than that, I think we're in trouble. Yeah. I don't know.
And all the teams that we should be winning against potentially are now changing their managers.
Yeah.
That's
the bit that has me worried because I've been saying for weeks, Palace are dropping like a rock, then they change their manager and they get a win. You know, and Bournemouth just won't go away.
No, they won't.
Supposed to have given up by now and they haven't. They're still plugging away, you know, trying to get results. The best scenario for tomorrow is Everton drop some points at Spurs and that keeps us at the bottom 4. And then we've got a game in hand over Wolves. You beat Forest and now it looks healthy. It looks way calmer again because there's a gap. We need to start opening a gap. So these 2 games are absolutely massive. I think if we lose any of these 2 games, I think we could be in serious trouble. I think if it goes down to the last 3 games of the season with us needing points to stay in the Premier League, I think this year our luck might go against us. But yeah, I'm deliberately not predicting what we're going to do for the next 2 games because I usually get it wrong, so I'm going to get my mouth shut just from superstition point of view. I'm not going to say a word.
But if you usually get it wrong, Joe, if you usually get it wrong, why don't you predict
to win?
Great stuff.
Yo, I think Javi will have a plan for the game. I don't think Forest are good, and maybe we're the ones that put the nail in Steve Cooper's coffin a little bit. But it's a huge game. I mean, this to me is the start of the most important run of the entire season. Like we have to get April right. If we don't, we're down.
Yeah.
Just on what Joe said there, Joe. Sorry, just really quickly.
That's
Sorry to interrupt. You mentioned there you think Gracia will have a plan. It wouldn't surprise me if this last week or even throughout this international break, they've been spending a lot of time preparing for Forest as well as Arsenal. You know, that Arsenal game, they would have had a plan, but I very much doubt they would have, spent all of their time specifically focusing on that. They know where their battles are. You know, they're not daft, these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
agree. What about Palace as well? Do you think they've given that any thought just yet?
Probably.
I think that'll be tough. You know, I think it'll be tight, but I still think we'll win it.
No Zaha anymore for Palace. He's out for probably the rest of the season by the looks of it.
They didn't look great.
They're not great, but they're hodging. I don't know.
Yeah,
no romance thing there with Palace. When last time he was there, he used to get decent results with them. Got
it was 94-minute winner, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah,
95th minute winner.
But I think stats. I think they had like 31 shots.
They did.
And it shows how bad Leicester are really for them to. I think Leicester had 6 shots and they had 31, and it's Palace. You know what I mean?
Am I wrong in saying that Palace didn't have a shot on target for the last 6 games?
Before that, they were, and then they go and have 31.
Just hit the ball.
Just shoot.
Just hit it. I don't care. Just hit it.
Yeah, knuckle puck time like Mighty Ducks.
That's basically what he did. Yeah, Look, I think we get 6 points from next 2. I haven't even begun to think about a lost Tuesday night. I can't, man.
Imagine the meltdown.
Oh, I can't, Luke, man. I can't. Oh, I can't even begin to think what it will be like, man.
I don't think. I'm similar to Joe. I said we need at least 4 points from these next 2 at the very least. Either way around. So my panic stations won't start if we get a draw against Forest at home. Right, okay. They will start if we don't beat Palace after that. I think we need 4 points. I think the easier of the 2 games is obviously Forest, but I still think it's not massive panic stations if we still draw against Forest.
I think it is panic stations because look, their record on the road is absolutely shocking. Yeah, there's no way we should be losing that.
Who have they beaten on the road this season, out of interest?
Pardon?
I'll have a look.
Who did they beat?
I'll have a look for you.
It was somebody quite good, if I remember.
I know we're saying that they shouldn't beat us, but they are still 2 places above us, which would suggest, according to the league table, that they're a better side than us or have been a more consistent side over the course of the season. So, it is easy to say that they haven't won the road, but
just to put it in.
I'm the same. I look at the table and I go, I keep looking at Brentford and Brighton going, why aren't they down here with us? They're supposed to be down here with us. What are they doing up there? So I look at it the same way. I see a couple of teams and I'm like,
Forest have 1 win in their last 8, and that 1 win came against Leeds United.
Of course it did.
Yeah, but that was at home, right? That was at home.
It was theirs. Yeah. Oh no, Nottingham Forest beat Southampton away 1-0.
Was it?
But that's all.
And they're rubbish as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I watched Southampton West Ham today. What a poor game of football that was.
Yeah, but
really bad.
Oh, I know. I was
only 3 points behind us.
I know, that's the mad thing, isn't it? It is what it is, mate. But you've got to look at it in isolation. Look at it since Gracia came in. That's why I look at it, and we're doing well. We're doing well in the small amount of games that he's had, so I think we will be fine.
Strangely enough, the Arsenal game, I actually enjoyed the football we played the most so far under Gracia. Actually, one of the games I thought we actually tried to play football quite a bit.
Ironically, the best football we played under Marsh was against Arsenal as well at home.
Yeah, true.
That's true as well.
We got beat.
It's just Arsenal bring out the best in us.
Yeah.
Apart from Ayling, of course.
He has a nightmare against
Arsenal, doesn't he?
It was in their youth, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It must be in his head. He must want to perform that well.
Yeah.
It sort of obviously maybe affects him because it was last season he just bloody nearly broke Martinelli's legs, didn't he, man? What a challenge that was.
On the
corner flag.
Corner flag, yeah.
Brutal it was. It was but that I still blame Marsh for that as well because he was sending them out like bloody weapons, man. They were just like storming on pitch and that. How many fouls have you made, man? You know what I mean? That's what he's saying. Jesse said goodbye or sort of to Leeds fans on Twitter, didn't he? I didn't engage with it. What do we think to that? Any
He
thoughts?
lost his phone for a month, did he?
He
Must have left it in his old house. I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did.
glad he did.
I don't wish the guy any hardship. I hope he goes on to another coaching job, and I hope he gets a decent job, and I hope he gets what he wants out of football. I nothing personal against the guy. It didn't work. Move on.
Similar. Wished him well. All the best.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I hope one is
Just like, God.
just to go and destroy another
I
club.
genuinely don't. Like, he really rubbed me up the wrong way.
I can see your pulse, Joe, right here. I can just see it go, wow.
Yeah, I just stayed away from the tweet, to be honest.
He was nice. He was nice about it.
Yeah, fair. Just while we're on the chat of managers, obviously managerial merry-go-round. 14 is it? 13? Did we say 13 managers sacked? Could be more before the season's done. Graham Potter available. Obviously, been sacked from Chelsea. I'm a massive fan of him personally. Would you want to make a move for Potter in the summer if there was the opportunity to?
No.
I have this. So I just have this dilemma about if we stay up and Javi's done that, is it fair to get rid of him?
No.
But then has he got the ability to take us to where we want to be? And if he gets us out of this shit, then perhaps he does. But Graham Potter, I really do like him as well. I mean, I was kind of hoping I just think he's been really unlucky with Chelsea. I think it was too big for him. And like we were talking about earlier, they didn't have the dressing room. I mean, but he's such, I don't know, he's so thorough. I like the football that he plays when he gets it right, like when he was at Brighton. And so it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? But I really like Javi, so I don't know.
Started his coaching career in Leeds. Luke, would you not want him to return back?
Do you know what, Joe? I said no very quickly. Then there's a couple of reasons similar to Kate. I think if we're still in the Premier League next season, I think Gracia deserves a shot, and he's very much earned it. I think he's, we've seen, for me, enough from Gracia to suggest that he can coach and he can do things well. Now, is he as good at improving players as potentially what Potter is? We don't know. We probably haven't had a big enough sort of idea to even start judging that if he's going to improve players, and that's not his role. He hasn't been brought in to improve our players. He's been brought in to keep us safe. So if will we see that from him? Potentially. I don't know if I don't know his history too well, but so no, the reason I said no so quickly was if we stay up, then no, I think Gracia gets the job in summer, or should get the job, and if we go down, we've no chance anyway. Do I like Potter? Yeah, I respect him. I think he's a good coach, and I think he's similar to Kate. He was a little step too far, step too big for him. He worked wonders with Brighton, little South Coast club with nobody around him, no rivalry sort of thing. He almost was better at coaching relatively unknowns or sort of people who weren't superstars. Chelsea are a squad of superstars. They've got 30 odd internationals on the books or something like that. So to walk into a changing room like that was always going to be a tough task. It needs a Mourinho, Conte type person, somebody that at that level, I think, at Chelsea, and it showed that's what's worked for them previously. Bringing Potter in has probably been a mistake on their part as much as it was Potter accepting that for me.
Yeah. No, that's some great points that made there as well.
You need a bigger ego than the egos that are in the club.
Absolutely.
I think there's an argument to be made that Brighton have done better since Potter left.
Yeah.
Also, they're up to 6th in the table. De Zerbi's playing an incredible brand of football, very Bielsa-esque, without the man marking, which is, if only we'd have done that. But he's proven to be a really good coach. It did take Graham Potter 12 months to get Brighton moving. That is another point that people kind of forget. They forget what the last 12 months under Potter were like, but the first 12 months under Potter was building what he wanted him to do. It took time. There was patience needed. He's obviously tried to do the exact same thing at Chelsea, build it from the ground. You don't have time with clubs like that. You've got to deliver results straight away. They wrote down the word loyalty because we as fans bang on about how we deserve loyalty from our players and people. And yet we can be very, very quick to dismiss people and show them zero loyalty when they've done some stuff for us. And for me, if we stay up, I would be disgusted if the club gave the job to anybody else bar Javi, because he's earned the right to do it. I think he wasn't the club's first choice. He's done the club a favor probably by coming in and taking the job at all, because he was fifth or sixth choice at that stage. And we've all said the same thing. We think we're better under him than we have been. So, and we're not. I mean, the negative stuff with Bielsa was there was a plan A and man marking were the problems, and he wouldn't change them. Jesse Marsh had a plan A and chaos football, and he wouldn't change it. Javi's come in and gone, different team, different system, different organization, different players. I've got a plan for every single game, and I don't mind changing. I'm not proud enough to change it. I would like to see him with a full preseason under his belt, with a couple of players brought in that he likes and he wants in and around the place, and upgrade on our back four, and then see where we can go. Maybe he's not the manager long term to get Leeds, into the top 10, but I think he's a manager to get Leeds into a solid mid-table position, and maybe a season without drama for a change, just to
that'd be amazing.
Enjoy the form. I'd love a 9th place, nothing season. It'd be great just for 1 year, But I think if there's a lot of managers flying, Areola's names come up again, and I'm like, if he does well and we sack him, not sack him because he doesn't have a contract, but if we let him go and bring in somebody else and they don't do well, then we've gambled. Right now he's a bit of a proven entity for me. And the other thing with it as well is, if we go down, he's probably the right guy to get us back up.
Yeah, I've said that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I agree with that totally.
Yeah, I was, you've sort of like, because I'm a massive fan of Javi's. I'm a massive fan of Potter's, and I just think you can't give up the chance of potentially getting him in. That's just my opinion. But then as I hear you speak, I'm like, no, you're right. He does deserve a shot, but I just think as a project manager, Graham Potter is that, and he's
probably be a fantastic director of football at a club, or head of youth development at a club. He'd be brilliant at that. But not to say that he's not going to be a brilliant coach in the Premier League. He'll get a job in the morning. You can probably get Leicester's job next week.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
that's more his level, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen like Leicester fans, I've seen Palace fans, certain Leeds fans all be straight away going, right, in the summer, get this man in, so he is well thought of. What about Brendan Rodgers, anyone? Like, I think, he's previously been linked with Spurs, etc., but I feel that his stock's dropped now because of what's happened at Leicester and how poor they've been. He's another, though, like Potter, that's a great manager. I mean, look what he did with Leicester. I know it's turned sour in the end, but if there was ever the possibility to bring in Rodgers, would you still be saying, no, we've got to give it Gracia just because?
I like what Rodgers did at Celtic. And I obviously in Irish, I watch an awful lot of Celtic. So I did a cracking job up there with them. Not all Celtic fans think that, though. I've got a mate who's a fanatic Celtic fan, and he can't stand Rodgers. But I think he did a really good job at Leicester when Leicester ran out of money.
That's the problem, isn't it?
An awful lot when they had nobody else. Yeah.
And he looked like he'd lost interest to me, Brendan Rodgers. It just was like,
pretty early on, I thought that, Kate. I thought pretty early on the season, in his interviews, he looked to me like he was checked out.
It was like he wanted to get sacked, right?
I was expecting to get sacked. I was like, definitely going to get sacked next week. And then they didn't. And then they gave him a couple of quid in January, but not a huge amount. They made some, they got some decent players there, but they're a pretty weak squad in terms of depth. And I think that's cost them this year. And I think it's cost them this job. I'm not surprised at Chelsea moving, because they still have a chance to get in Champions League football, and they believe they get somebody else in there, they can make a run. But where Leicester are, and all the stats say, don't change your manager at this time of the year, because it doesn't improve. It's at best case scenario. I think it was a Square Ball did a piece on it, and they said that it was and this was a couple of weeks ago even, so it was even earlier. If you change then, your results either stay the same or get worse in the last 10 games. That's what
Palace have quashed that myth, haven't they? Because they didn't win under Vieira's last 8, and then he's coming and
be interested if they get above 12th, though, or below 12th at the end of the season. They could end up being exactly the same as they were, which is fine if you're 12th, but if you're 19th and you're staying exactly where you are, you're relegated. So that's the issue.
In terms of Rodgers, I wouldn't have Rodgers. I still don't think. I think obviously his CV speaks for himself. He's had some great jobs and done a lot more than I'll ever do in any career probably. But I just feel that like you say, early on in the season, his attitude didn't scream somebody I'd want to be leading the team I follow. He's also quite expensive, what I understand. I think he was one of the highest paid managers. So lots of things. Yeah, and I still think, even though Joe, you're quite right, they haven't spent a lot of money, and they've they lost Fofana and replaced with the Belgian lad. Is it Face or Faes or whatever? Yeah.
And Schmeichel went, didn't he?
Yeah, they've still got on paper a very, very good squad, and they have spent a bit of money. Patterson, Daka. They bought was it Anderson or Christensen? Yeah. They have brought some good players in it, and on paper, that squad probably still shouldn't be in a relegation battle for me.
Madison, of course.
Yeah, they've still got a decent squad. So based on that, I can't see how anybody else in the league higher than Leicester would even consider it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But he should be able to do more with what he's got, shouldn't he? Really, but I just don't think he's bothered. Really, he's sort of,
Michael asks a question. He says, "Great chat, guys and girls, of course." He says, "What do we do with the best of the under-21s next season? Too good for that level, but now need senior minutes or run of games to kick on."
Oh dear.
Loan them out.
Who are we putting in this bracket? Are we saying Sonny Perkins, Matteo Joseph?
Darko.
Darko. Yeah.
I want him to get some minutes, to be honest with you, this season. And he's always on the bench, isn't he? But he never sees. I mean, I would have thought, quite honestly, yesterday, even given circumstances, he could have given him a go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I'm surprised.
So on Garby, I work with a lady whose husband is a youth coach at Cambridge now, and he's been at Norwich and Leyton Orient and things, and he's come up against Darko when he was at City, and he said that he's from what he's been. I mean, he's done youth coaching for years and years and years. And he said, well, from what he's seen of Garby, he says he can be as good as Yaya Toure. His words, he can play anywhere in the midfield.
He's amazing.
But obviously he's raw. But I think a loan deal. I think loans for all these types of players, Championship, League One level, based on their current level. I think Perkins could probably do a job, and Joseph in the Championship, Garby as well. And then
I really like Joseph. I really like what I've seen from Matteo Joseph. Yeah.
What about Cresswell coming back though? Yeah, I think he's ready to start.
Yeah, I think next season's his season to start. Yeah. Being more involved, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out in the Championship again for another season with maybe a different team. I think Lewis Bate will come back and go back out on loan to Championship, so a division higher. And I don't have any issue with that model. I mean, Chelsea have done it for years, and Conor Gallagher is a prime example of that. And you look at Arsenal, Arsenal had Ben White now, but he did the same thing. They went, National League, League Two, League One, Championship. We've got some really good young players there, and I wouldn't be in a rush to get any of these kids back into the team and push them straight into the Premier League squad, because if the 11 we've got right now isn't strong enough, I don't see the under-21 players being any better than what we've got right now. But I think if you look over the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to be really good players. I think there's a really good crop of young players there. Get them out on loan, get them the experience that they need, let them make the mistakes somewhere else, get them out of the system, learn from it, and then bring him back into the fold. But I think for me next year, Cresswell's the one I think could bounce between the two. Maybe could go on loan, but I think would get a bit of game time next season. Cody Drama is going to be the big one because we're so weak on the right hand side of the park. If Cody Drama can't get into the team under a third manager, there's a problem there. So I think this summer is going to be a big one for Cody. When he comes back, he's doing great at Luton. He had another cracking game at the weekend. But when he comes back, I think he's a player that can't go back out on loan again. I think he needs to look at playing, and then I think you look at the rest of what we've got in 21s this year.
What about Joffy?
Good point.
I'm worried about Joffy.
Yeah, I think he might suit Javi's system a bit better.
Yeah,
or at least he'll play, because again it'd be horses for courses. He'll change depending on the team. And if he does go 2 up top, I think that's where Joffy's built for his 2 up top. And so is Nanto, and then so is Rutter. So you've got a lot of competition there, but which is not a bad thing in one sense either.
Honestly,
James as well. Sorry,
gone, Dan James.
He's already forgotten his joke.
Somebody asked in the chat, and I was I don't know.
I think Javi will give him a chance, because I think he likes to play with width and fast wingers. I think
I quite like Dan James.
Oh no, he's not a footballer.
He's not. Look, I think since we've had Dan James, he's played more games as a striker than anywhere else, and that's not his position. Look, we're judging him based playing in a Bielsa system as a lone striker, which he's 5'9", and he's not going to. It's mayhem. Great, we've seen him on the wing as well. His crossing's not great but these are attributes that can be improved.
They're not players for where we want to be, though, are they? They're not aspirational players. That's my new word, isn't it?
Don't forget, Manchester United did pay 20 million for him as well. They saw something in him when they bought him, you know. And what I'd say is, Luke, it's not the first time we played a player out of season for a player out of position for 2 years, and then moaned about how the player was playing until we put him in his correct position. Rodrigo being a prime example of that.
Yeah,
we took 2 years, get rid of him. He was a waste of space. Actually, put him up front as number 9, scores goals.
I mean, when I say I like Dan James, I'm not saying I like his stats or like how he's, but he's very much committed to the cause. He works very, very hard, and I think you're right, Kate. He's not the type of player to take us to the next level. He's not going to be that type of player. But I don't dislike him. I think he works very, very hard, and he did everything that was ever asked of him.
He's rubbish. He's rubbish.
He doesn't like, set my world alight thinking about him, to be honest with you.
I got pulled into the emotional side of it because of the video and Bielsa and everything. I was like, he's the missing piece. Bielsa loved him, da. And then when he actually came and seen it, it was like, this guy cannot play football, man. He's just fast. If he weren't fast, he wouldn't have got nowhere near the level he's got to. I don't believe.
But he's a nice guy and he's nice looking, and you know.
All right, Kate, not pieces of meat, they've got feelings too,
But that doesn't win us football games, does it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think that Gracia will have a look at him on the wing because he plays without no wingers. I think he'll have a look at him and see.
And that right wing's our weakest position.
Correct. Yeah. But then he might. But look, he's probably not what we need to go on to the next level.
I agree. I agree. He's not what we need.
But I like his effort. I like the work he puts in, and he does worry defenders. I mean, if if you're a fullback and Dan James is running at you, you've got a busy day.
It's almost like a Welsh.
Why is he getting? He's not getting played. He's not getting any minutes, is he?
Barely.
I think he missed a sitter for Fulham at the weekend.
Did he?
Did he play? And someone, well, I don't know. I did the watch along, and someone said Dan James has just missed a sitter. Whatever, and I was like,
so hang on, he's getting minutes for Fulham who are in the top half of the table, but he's not going to.
No, he's not
in the relegation battle. Got it.
He's barely played actually.
He hasn't. I know he hasn't. I know. Yeah. I just grinded it, Joe.
Toby Ward says, "Do you think Archie Gray should go out on loan or stay?
Stay for a year and then go out on loan. He's only 17.
Yeah,
I think he's probably nearer to the first team than we think."
Yeah. He's very
well thought of. Yeah,
very well thought of, and he's got a younger brother as well, right?
Yeah, I was talking to Jerry McDermott about a couple of the players at the youth team during the week, and he said his younger brother is probably going to be the best striker in Europe in about 10 years' time. And he said, you can quote me on that. He said, this kid's gripping up. I think he scored something like 100 goals in a season at underage level.
Wow.
So they said this kid's gripping up trees. Like they expect him to be big. They said Archie's good, but his brother's better.
This is the thing as well, right? Like it's because of the family connection and that, you're not worried about it. You're not worried about him going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, for a fact, Eddie's like, nah, you stay here. You know what I mean? and
how does he say it?
Yeah, I'm not doing it again.
Good accents, Joe, isn't it?
That's brilliant. His Irish one was better.
Hey man, but it was same with Creswell though. This is why I want Creswell to be given a shot, because I remember going to LS11 live. This is a few years back now, and they had Andy Hughes on, and Andy Hughes was saying how good Creswell was, and that teams like City and that had tried to get Creswell, and he stayed put. Do you know what I mean? And I think we should give him a chance. We should give him a chance. A few writ him off and that after, he's had up and down spell at Millwall, but I think we owe him a chance. And I still remember when he made his debut against West Ham against Antonio, and I thought he played really well. He played really well. So I want to see him given a chance, because I think if Creswell... Yeah,
you're going to get inconsistencies with young players. The first half of the season in Millwall, he was in and out. He struggled a bit. He scored a couple of goals, but from speaking to Millwall fans, he wasn't having a great time of it.
No.
But since the World Cup break, he has come back. He has dominated that back four. He has assists, goals, he's 8 clean sheets. I think he fractured his eye socket yesterday, so his season will be over. But he's tough as nails. And if we were talking about it being the last season for Cooper, and Cooper, let's say, moves on or retires or whatever, he's only 21 time, but then you bring him in to replace them. But I still think you need to upgrade the other two.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. it'd just be awesome to have Creswell at the back. He's an animal. He's an animal, you know. He's just,
and he's good on attacking corners. We don't have a lot of from
He's an old school centre back, isn't he? He's
he is.
Connor Cody type centre back rather than a ball playing centre back. You know, he's I put him at the side of Wober.
Let
him learn his trade.
Great show.
100%. And then Robin Koch, who's twerking for Newcastle, and that can do one. Do you know what I mean? Is what it is.
Yeah, he can actually. He annoyed me as well on Saturday. Useless. I thought.
Grudges, yeah, Lewis Dunk. Duncan Hamilton says Lewis Dunk. That's a good shout for Creswell in terms of definitely. We're nearly up to an hour. We're running out of things to talk about. I think we'll be back on Wednesday. Has anyone got anything they want to touch on before we leave? No. Someone did say earlier you've got to wear a bald cap.
It must be shit to that. Sorry, I was laughing at.
You know what? I will.
Yeah,
swimming out, Kate.
If you could acquire one between now and Wednesday, that'd be good.
I'll try.
You'll try. Good stuff. Good stuff.
No facial hair though, right?
No, yeah. Don't grow up.
I won't shave for 2 days. You'll be all right.
I was just about to say it. I was gonna say, don't enact for a couple of days, and your growth might come back on the end of your chin and that.
5 o'clock shadow, yeah.
I love that.
Bit of honey in a tea bag, Kate. You'll be fine. Just as I do.
Class, yeah. Jer's been trying to grow his for about 40 years, man, and
this bit or this bit, because this bit grows, this bit doesn't.
Oh, right. Good stuff. Right. Folks, we'll see you on the other side. I'll be back tomorrow night because Tottenham play Everton, so I'm going to do that game. And then, of course, Leeds play on Tuesday as well. Luke, anything going over on Auto Know Better?
He's got it right. He's only got it right. Yeah, mate, quite a bit going on. We'll be having our main podcast of the week Monday because we play Tuesday. So tomorrow night, 8:30. We'll then obviously have a bit of Brad and Coke aftermath, but a couple of other things going on. You've all seen the guy who robbed the foundation of a certain amount of money. So yeah, we're as a group of us just trying to walk the distance of, travel on our own steam, whether that be bike, row, ski, do whatever you want, but 400 miles to Spurs and back from Ellen Road just to raise their money back for the foundation to donate. So keep an eye out on the socials.
Good man. Thanks for that. Joe, Leeds United, the view.
News in the morning, working on a couple of things behind the scenes. Spoke to a couple of people within Leeds this week, which was interesting. So I've got a couple of bits floating around that I hope turn into something, and I'm not being mucked around, but I'll let you know during the week. But back on Monday with the news anyway, and I got a few bits and pieces for that.
Yeah. I think it might be the former. Yeah,
I think it might be. Yeah,
it is what it is. Just wait till end of season and keys change hands, and then we can all jump in there.
I'll be optimistic until otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Kate, what's going on Leeds Birds Rants?
At the moment, I am trying to basically get something together for some lives at the moment. So we'll see how they are going to go.
Cool. Watch this space then. Watch
this space.
Bring the Malbec.
And the maracas, Joe, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Well, on that note.
And on that note, guys.
Bye.
See you.